Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another adventure. Today, we're diving into a real head-scratcher, a place called Punt.
Ah, Punt.
It's shrouded in mystery, but might just hold the key to understanding, like a huge chunk of ancient history. So picture this. Egypt, thousands of years ago. They were obsessed with this place called Punt.
Obsessed is putting it mildly.
Yeah, the records are full of it. Punt this, punt that, exotic goods, amazing riches.
The Egyptians believed Punt held treasures beyond imagination. And, they weren't exactly paupers themselves.
Right, but here's the thing, we still don't know exactly where Punt was.
It's true. Some scholars place it in modern-day Somalia, others further south, maybe Eritrea or Ethiopia.
It's like a giant historical jigsaw puzzle, and we're missing a few pieces.
But the pieces we do have, they're tantalizing.
Totally. We're talking frankincense, myrrh.
Gold, ivory, even exotic animals.
It was like the ancient world's version of a luxury shopping spree. But what if Punt wasn't just about the goods? What if they were also exporting ideas, like cultural influences, religious beliefs, maybe even technology?
It's a fascinating hypothesis, isn't it? Because it turns the traditional narrative on its head.
Right. We usually think of cultural influence as flowing from big, powerful empires outward.
But what if a place like Punt, considered peripheral by some, actually shaped civilizations we thought we understood?
Okay, so hold up. We need some context here before we get too deep. How far back are we talking about when Punt was at its peak?
We're talking way back 2500 BCE, during Egypt's Old Kingdom period.
Wow, so long before those powerful South Arabian kingdoms like Saba even existed?
Exactly. Punt was already established, powerful, and highly connected.
Okay, now that is mind-blowing. So while those South Arabian kingdoms were still in diapers, Punt was out there, trading with Egypt, influencing pharaohs.
It changes everything, doesn't it? Suddenly, this mystery civilization becomes a major player on the world stage.
So let's unpack this a bit more, shall we? The idea is that Punt, with its head start and all those trade routes across the Red Sea, might have been like a model for those later South Arabian powers.
Precisely. Imagine those ancient sailors and merchants traveling back and forth, sharing stories, exchanging ideas.
A little ancient world networking, if you will.
Exactly. And those seemingly casual exchanges could have had a profound impact. We're talking about the transmission of knowledge, the seeds of cultural change.
Okay, I'm hooked. So what specific kind of knowledge are we talking about here? Give me the juicy details. Wait, spill the beans. What kind of game-changing knowledge could Punt have shared?
Well, let's start with the obvious. Both Punt and those later South Arabian kingdoms, they built their empires on the same precious resources.
Frankincense and myrrh, right?
Bingo, the ancient world's most sought-after fragrances. And this wasn't just some happy coincidence.
You're saying Punt had the frankincense game down, and maybe, just maybe, some of that know-how hopped across the Red Sea.
Picture this. Sailors and merchants, crisscrossing the Red Sea, swapping stories, maybe even a few trade secrets. Who knows what kind of knowledge they were sharing?
I like where this is going. But what about culture? Did that Egyptian fascination with Punt, with its mystique, rub off on those South Arabian kingdoms?
Okay, now we're getting to the truly mind-blowing part. Because the hypothesis suggests that Punt's cultural influence might have gone way beyond Egypt.
Are we talking about, like, pyramids popping up in both places?
Not quite pyramids, but think architectural motifs, certain types of columns, maybe decorative elements. We even see these fascinating parallels in how they depicted certain gods and goddesses.
Hold on, you're saying there are actual visual similarities?
Similarities that are hard to ignore. While we can't say for sure it was a direct copy-paste, those parallels suggest some kind of shared inspiration.
Right? I'm with you. It's like this ancient cultural network with ideas and artistic styles bouncing back and forth between Punt, Egypt, those South Arabian kingdoms. It's kind of poetic when you think about it.
It really is. But we have to address the elephant in the room, the question everyone's asking.
Hit me with it.
If Punt was this influential, shouldn't we have found more concrete proof by now? Where's the smoking gun? The ancient equivalent of a signed contract saying Punt influenced South Arabia.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, are we just working with a hunch here?
Not at all. It's more like, imagine having a few crucial pieces of a giant puzzle. We can see the bigger picture starting to form, but we're still missing some connections.
So you're saying there's still hope for finding that smoking gun, that undeniable proof?
Absolutely. Archaeology is an ongoing process. What we know about the ancient world is constantly evolving.
Right, like those ancient cities they're finding buried under the ocean.
Exactly. What we think of as lost might just be waiting to be discovered.
So you're saying we just need to keep digging, literally.
Precisely. And the exciting thing is, the very act of looking for these connections with this hypothesis in mind could lead to groundbreaking findings. We might unearth lost trade routes, forgotten cities.
Or even just a shard of pottery with the right inscription on it.
Exactly. Any one of those discoveries could rewrite our understanding of these civilizations. But just for argument's sake, let's play devil's advocate for a second. Couldn't the South Arabian kingdoms have just figured things out on their own? Maybe they were destined for greatness, with or without Punt's influence.
It's possible. I mean, civilizations can develop independently, right?
Of course. But here's the catch. Punt's earlier existence, their influence on a superpower like Egypt, it makes them a piece of the puzzle we can't ignore.
It's like saying, oh, the wheel, what a great idea. I bet multiple civilizations invented it completely separately. It's possible, but statistically unlikely.
You got it. It's about looking at the big picture, connecting the dots, and being open to all possibilities. And what makes this hypothesis so compelling is that it challenges us to rethink those old narratives of cultural influence.
To acknowledge that even civilizations we thought we understood might have been shaped by unexpected sources.
Exactly, and that's what makes studying the past so exciting. There's always something new to discover, another layer to peel back.
And sometimes it's the civilizations we know the least about that have the most to teach us. Which brings us back to Punt. We may not have all the answers yet, but the questions this hypothesis raises are absolutely mind-blowing.
It really makes you wonder what other hidden connections, what other overlooked influences are still out there waiting to be discovered.
It's like we're just scratching the surface of the past.
And who knows what we'll find when we dig a little deeper.
Okay, so we've explored this whole idea of Punt being this unsung hero of the ancient world, potentially shaping South Arabian civilizations in ways we never imagined.
It's a paradigm shift, isn't it?
Totally. But let's say, just for fun, that archaeologists do find that smoking gun. Undeniable proof that Punt's influence stretched all the way across the Red Sea. What then? What changes?
Well, for starters, it would turn our understanding of ancient history on its head.
Not just adding a footnote, we're talking a complete rewrite.
Potentially, it challenges this whole idea of a hierarchy of cultures. That influence only flows from big, powerful empires to smaller ones.
So instead of a top-down model, it's more like a web, with ideas flowing in all directions.
Exactly. It's about interconnectedness, mutual influence. And that's a powerful concept, even today.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example. How does this change the way we see the world today?
Well, think about it. If a civilization like Punt, shrouded in mystery, could have had such a profound impact on powerful kingdoms.
It makes you wonder what we're missing, right? What we're overlooking in the present day.
Precisely. It's a reminder that groundbreaking ideas, innovation, it can come from anywhere, from communities, cultures we might least expect.
So it's about recognizing the value of diversity, of different perspectives.
Yeah.
Because you never know where that next big idea is going to come from.
That's it. And honestly, that message is timeless. As relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
It's amazing, right? We started with ancient frankincense roads and ended up with this powerful message about embracing diversity and challenging assumptions. It just goes to share, history isn't some dusty old subject.
It's alive with lessons, connections, and endless possibilities.
And on that note, deep divers, we've reached the end of our journey, at least for now. We've explored the mysteries of Punt, its potential impact on the ancient world, and even uncovered some surprisingly relevant lessons for today. But this isn't the end of the conversation. What other hidden connections, what other overlooked influences are waiting to be discovered? What stories are we not telling that could completely change our understanding of the past, and maybe even the future? Keep those questions in mind, deep divers, and until next time, happy exploring.